Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So today is going to be another TBR. It's going to be the last TBR of 2020, despite the fact I haven't actually done that many because I've only just started my channel this year. So here's a list of all the books that I want to get finished by the end of this year. To meet my Goodreads goal, I've got to read another 12 books, which is quite a high ask, considering last month I only got through 7 at a push. But we're going to try really hard. I obviously have some time off this month over the Christmas break, and there's a few books that I'm really keen to get to, so I'm hoping this will get me out of my sort of reading slump and actually get me to finish a few more. So without further ado, here are the books that are on my December TBR. So we'll start off this TBR with what can only be put on as part of a pile of shame. This book has now been half read for like 2 months, and I am going to finish it before this year's out. Dance with the Devil by Sherrilyn Kenyon. I feel I have done this book a disservice. It is not a bad book, and yet I have not managed to finish it in 2 months. I don't understand why. It is fast-paced, it's fun, it's really good. I've said before it's not my favourite in this series, but it's still a pretty strong book compared to quite a lot of things I've read this year. And yet still, this guy looks at me every day, and I'm going to bring him back through to my bedroom tonight, and I'm not going to read him. And I know it, because I'm going to be so tired after filming this video that I'm not actually going to read. At time of filming, it is 10:30 at night, so I have a feeling that by the time I'm done, I'm just going to go to bed and collapse. But I will finish this book this month. I must only have about 100 pages or something left. Yeah, this can only be about 100 pages or so left. This will be finished. You're probably sick to death of hearing me talk about this book now because it's been in vlogs, it's been in TBRs. This is the last time that I will be saying I'm going to read this. This is the 4th book in the Dark Hunter series. It follows Zarek, who is sort of the most feral of the Dark Hunters. He's been cast out and lived alone for so many 100 years that he doesn't really have any people skills. And yeah, the goddess Artemis, who is the creator of the Dark Hunters, has had enough of him. She's sick to death of him. She wants him gone. But the sort of manager of the Dark Hunters, Acheron, thinks he deserves another chance because he sees a lot of himself in Zarek. He's been through a lot, same as this guy, so he thinks he deserves as much chance as anyone else to be given a go of it. So they turn to the Justice Nymph, Astrid, to judge Zarek as if he's worthy of being allowed to live, or whether he must be put down, like what they think he's like this sort of mad animal. So does he get put down? So Astrid goes on her merry way to Alaska, where Zarek has been stationed, this godforsaken place in the middle of nowhere, and she has to judge whether there's something worth redeeming in this guy. Astrid's known for being a very fair judge, but she's also never judged anyone innocent, so you know it could be looking a bit rocky for Zarek. But this is a paranormal romance, so equally you expect there to be a little bit of love between the 2 main characters. And basically the crux of this is, before she's even made her decision, the executioner has already decided to head out after Zarek. I'm almost done with this. I really, really do like it. I've said in a previous vlog that it starts off well, then it drags, then there's a good bit. We're back in the good bit. I just need to sit down. It will literally take me less than an hour to finish this book. So it will happen. This will be one of the 12 that helps me towards my Goodreads goal. And please do read this series. It is very good, despite how long it's taken me to read this one. This is rereads for me, and I think partially because I know what happens, I'm not as drawn to get to the end, just because I know what happens. But equally, I do want to move on with the series. So I will be finishing this month, finally. Another book that I started in November, but haven't yet finished, is an audiobook called Everything But the Truth. And I want to say the author's name is Gillian McAllister, but I could be lying. But I will put a picture of the book up on screen. So this book is about a couple, Rachel and Jack. They've had a bit of a whirlwind relationship. Rachel's now pregnant with Jack's child, and then she, in the middle of the night, she sees a notification come through on Jack's iPad or his phone, and she looks at it without really even thinking about it, and it mentions bringing up his past and an atrocity, and she's a bit like, oh, throne, what's this, what does this mean? And she puts it down and is like, oh, I shouldn't have looked at this, and kind of just tries to forget about it. But now she's seen it, and her mind is whirling around, being like, well, what have I seen? What does this mean? What is this atrocity that is connected to this guy that she thinks is super sweet, and obviously is the father of her child? So she's a bit thrown on what to do. So basically the book is following her trying to figure out what this email meant, trying to decide if Jack is a good guy, will be a good father to her child. She's also dealing with issues from her past. She has dealt with paranoia that's wrecked relationships before, and she used to be a doctor but had to leave medicine, and for some reason we don't know why, but there, and I haven't gotten to the part of the book that we find out why yet. So she's also dealing with the fact that she kind of failed in her career, and there's a suggestion that she's done something that's not right either, that she's harboring some guilt about. So yeah, I've got about 4 hours left, and so far it's all right. It's been quite slow paced, which just isn't my jam. I'm not a big fan of these slow paced books. There has to be a really good payoff at the end for me to really like a slow paced book. I like things to be either medium or fast paced, and so it just seems to have taken a very long time to kind of get to where we are. And yet I'm still enjoying it. It kind of gives you that sort of tense feeling when you're trying to figure out what's going on and you're learning a bit more. But like I say, the pacing of the book is not my favourite. But I'm getting through it. I'm reading about an hour or so of it a day, or listening to an hour or so of it a day. So that should be done hopefully by the end of this week. And will be another one towards my Goodreads goal. And I will let you know how I got on with it in the wrap up, and if the ending can make up for this sort of slower paced thriller. The next book on my December TBR is one I meant to get to last month. This is Body Language by A.K. Turner, and this was an art copy I got from NetGalley, and like I say, I hoped to get to it last month, but it just didn't quite happen. I had a couple I was trying to finish all kind of at the same time, and I got through 2 of the 3, but not this one. So I blame one of those other arcs for it. One of them kind of put me in a bit of a slumpy mood, which if you have seen my wrap up, you'll probably know which one I'm talking about. I'll link my wrap up in the cards, and you'll see which of those books kind of put me in a bit of a slumpy reading mood. Not so good. Definitely hampered things a little bit. But yeah, because of that one, this one is a bit similar to it, and it just maybe not really fancy reading it, we'll be honest. But we're going to give it a go this month. Clean slate. We've forgotten about the dud of last month, and we're going to give this one the chance it deserves. So like I said, this is Body Language by A.K. Turner. We'll put a copy of the cover up on the screen there. This one follows a mortuary assistant called Cassie. She's, good at her job. She's been doing it for a long time. And then her next body that comes on the slab is actually that of a friend of hers. And she wants to obviously find out what happened to her, just a bit more drive than normal because she knew the person. And there's also a bit of a hint that she can maybe hear the thoughts of the dead. And I'm not sure whether that is she can actually hear maybe their last thoughts, or whether she just can suss out their life through her dissections kind of thing. I'm not sure what they mean by that comment, but we'll see. I kind of hope there's a supernatural element to it, but I haven't checked any reviews. My normal thing is to check reviews and make sure I know exactly what I'm expecting before I go into the book, and I haven't done that. So I'm trying to be strong and go in without actually knowing, but this is not what I normally like to do, but we're going to try. It shouldn't take me too long. These thrillers normally don't take me too long to read, so I'm pretty confident I can get to this one this month, and I am looking forward to it now that the dud of last month is in the back of my mind. Another book on this TBR, I also think this one was on my TBR from last month. I'm so bad, this is going to be so repetitive from last month. But this is Thoroughly Whipped by Tillie Cole. This was a release from earlier this year, and it's kind of like a romantic comedy style book. Sorry, the cover's picking up my ring light there. super shiny. So yeah, this book is like a romantic comedy. The main character is Faith, and she is a columnist. I think it's like a sex columnist, and she is kind of looking into kind of Manhattan's elite, and kind of what they get up to behind closed doors. And she looks like she's going to be delving into some sort of interesting scenarios if you go by the cover. And the other kind of part of the book is obviously romantic comedy. There's going to be a love interest, and it sounds as if an ex is coming back into her life as her new boss. She describes it as coming crashing back into her world like a bad case of herpes. I really want to read this book. It sounds hilarious. I have this really bad habit of putting off reading books that I think I'm going to love and reading the ones I think I'm going to like less before the ones I think I'm going to love. And I don't know why I do it. It's like the saving the best for last kind of mentality. And it's something I'm determined to change going into next year. I'm actually thinking of doing a video on like reading habits and what I want to kind of change going forward, like a New Year's resolution, but based on reading habits kind of video. I will possibly do that, but spoiler, this will be one of them. Stop blooming putting things I really want to read to the back burner, like saving them for later, because I end up not reading a bunch of really great books and reading a lot of mediocre books by doing this. It's just self-sabotage, it really is. So this one will definitely be read this month, and I'm hoping to film a reading vlog for it because I just know I'm going to love it. I know I'm going to love it. Pick it up, Emma, pick it up. It has to happen, okay? I want anybody that sees my end of December TBR, if this book is not in it, come for me. Come for me in the comments. I deserve it. This has to get read. The next book that I'm hoping to get to this month, the next book that I will get to this month is The Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. Again, I'll put the cover on the screen. This is one that I've gotten a loan from my library. So Matt Haig has written books such as The Humans and The Midnight Library. They're books I actually want to get to. He's meant to be a fantastic author, but he's also suffered with mental health issues and has also written a book about his experiences. This is the tome. And I'm looking forward to having a read of it. It's I think it's described as him talking to like his former self and trying to just show that you can find joy in the little things, light at the end of the tunnel kind of view on depression. Just basically how he learned to manage his issues with his mental health. And I love these kinds of books. I've read loads of them this year. I'm just kind of fascinated by the topic in general. So I'm very, very curious to see what Matt Haig has to say about it. So hopefully we'll get to that one this month, and I'm sure I will enjoy. So the next book that I'm going to read this month is one I've been looking forward to reading for a while now. This one is The Recovery of Rose Gold by Stephanie Wrobel. I think that's how you say her last name. I probably butchered it. So this book is a look at Munchausen's by proxy. So Rose Gold was essentially poisoned by her mother, who has Munchausen's by proxy, for about 18 years, and she gets charged and imprisoned for what she did to her daughter. And then on her release, Rose Gold decides to take her mother in, and kind of repair their relationship, that kind of thing. From what I can tell, it's more, I don't think she's actually as over it as she pretends to be or she seems to be, and I think the two of them end up in a bit of a sort of sick battle of wills kind of situation. So this book could either be really, really good, or it could be a bit of a mind fuck kind of situation. We'll see. I'm very curious. Munchausen's and Munchausen's by proxy is things I find quite fascinating. I think it's a really interesting kind of topic, so I'm really interested to see how this book deals with that issues, and I'm really looking forward to get into this one. I think it could be quite good. It could also be a little bit on the dark side for me. I mean, I do like darker books, but sometimes when they're quite sort of sometimes with issues like this, they can go a little far for me. So we'll see how we go, but I'm very curious about this one. So fingers crossed it lives up to my expectations, because they're kind of high for this one, I must admit. Back into non-fiction again. Another book that I've borrowed from my library this month is Why We Eat Too Much by Dr Andrew Jenkinson. Now, I believe he's a weight loss surgeon, so he's going to be kind of debunking some myths about kind of weight loss and dieting, and looking into, you know, how genetics play a part, nutrition, why things like dieting can be counterproductive, just all the kind of standard weight loss kind of issues. And I'm interested to see how this one goes. It's something that I think everybody's had a thing about weight loss in their life, like whether they have dieted a lot when they're younger, or trying to get their bodies to look a certain way, or whatever. I think it's a topic that we can all kind of relate to, and I'm really interested to see what he has to say on the matter. It's a topic I already know quite a bit about, just because of my background kind of in science, but I'm just interested to read a bit more on the topic, and see how we go. I've read a couple of kind of non-fiction books this year, just looking to learn a bit more about this one. Another book that I would like to get to this month is one I'm quite excited about, because I've read a few by this author before. So this is Our Little Cruelties by Liz Nugent. I'm not really sure how you say her name, but I've read a couple of her books in the past. I think one of them's called Unraveling Oliver, which I really enjoyed, and they're definitely kind of like the twisted psychological thriller type of things. So Our Little Cruelties follow three brothers, William, Brian and Luke, and I think one of them's a movie producer, one of them's a pop star, and one of them's like the financial manager or something like that, like a more stable adulty kind of job. So it follows the three brothers. I think it's set in Ireland in the 1960s, I think. It starts off with a funeral, I think, and one of the brothers has died, and it was one of the brothers that killed him, or is responsible for his death or something like that, and it's kind of just unraveling the whole thing of what happened there. This is a really good author that I'm sure this will be a good book. I can't wait to get to this one. The whole thing just makes me kind of excited to read, so it should be one I should do earlier in the month. Follow my gut and go for the ones that I think are going to be like 5 stars, because this should be a strong one. If this author's past works or anything to go by, I'm really keen to read this one. The next couple of books I'd like to read in December are loans from my library, and both by the same author, and I kind of just want to get through them because my loans are going to expire soon, so I would actually like to get these done and not renew them again, because I've already renewed them a couple of times. So the first is Truly Madly Guilty by Lianne Moriarty, and this one I think is like a contemporary thrillery kind of thing. I've read one book by Lianne Moriarty, 9 Perfect Strangers, and I did like it. I wouldn't have said it's a favourite, but I liked it enough that I want to read more by the author to kind of see what her other books are like. And so this one I think is about a couple that go to like a barbecue with some other friends, and it should just be like this total innocent fun kind of weekend, but something goes wrong and changes their lives forever kind of thing. That's literally all I know. The blurb at the back gives away no details. I have refrained from trying to suss out what happens before I read the book, because that's a bad habit I need to break. Although, do I really need to break it? I don't know. But I've not done that for this one yet. But like I say, I like the author's sort of style of writing, so I'm confident I will like this book. So I'm keen to give it a go this month. And like I say, I have the motivation of really wanting to get it back to the library this time and not actually renew it again. I've lost track of how many times I've renewed this book. So it's going to be read this month. It's going to be ticked off my TBR for this year. Next one by Lianne Moriarty that I'd like to read this month is The Last Anniversary. And again, I think it's the same kind of contemporary thrillery kind of setup. I'm just going to read the blurb of this one because I think it's probably the best way to describe it other than me just rambling on. So I'll do a little ramble first. Basically, the main character is called Sophie, and she ends a relationship with Thomas, and then ends up, I believe, inheriting his aunt's house or something after they've broken up. I'm not really sure how that works. Anyway, she moves into this house and sort of start a new life kind of a thing. And then let's see, what does it say here? Sophie moves onto the island and begins a new life as part of an unconventional family where it seems that everyone has a secret. Grace, a beautiful young mother, is feverishly planning a shocking escape from her perfect life. Margie, a frumpy housewife, has made a pact with a stranger, while dreamy Aunt Rose wonders if it's maybe about time she started making her own decisions. As Sophie's life becomes increasingly complicated, she discovers that sometimes you have to stop waiting around and come up with your own fairy tale ending. So I'm not sure if this is more about the secrets that people are keeping and what's going on, or if it's some sort of convoluted romance kind of setup. Not sure. Doesn't immediately strike me as the kind of thing that I would normally go for, but like I said with the previous book, I like what I've seen of the author so far, and I'm going to give it a go. These could end up going well, or they could be utter disasters, but we shall see. I really want to get it back to the library, like with the last one, and I do really want to read them. I've heard a lot of good things about other books by Lianne Moriarty, so I feel like it could be really, really good. She definitely kind of held my attention with the last book. I think if I remember correctly, 9 Perfect Strangers, I really enjoyed the book, but I wasn't so keen on the ending. I didn't find the ending very satisfying. But I think a lot of authors struggle with endings. I feel like that's a thing. So we'll give these ones a go. I suppose these are ones I'm not as excited to get to as maybe some of the others on my list, but I do want to get to them for practical reasons of getting them off of my borrow box app. Next on my TBR for December is The Killer's Girl by Helen Pfeiffer. When I put this book on my TBR, I thought it was the first book in a series. I've since found out it's the second book in the series. So I'm kind of hoping that I can just read it out of order, and if I like it, I'll go back to the first one, because I don't really want to be adding to my TBR at this point. And this book I've gotten as an art copy from NetGalley, so I can read this one for free. So I don't really want to go and buy the first book if I'm not sure if I'm going to like it when I've got a free one literally on my Kindle. So I'm going to read the second one and just hope that, because it's like a police detective thriller kind of thing, you can often read them out of order. So I'm going to just go with it and see how we are. I may live to regret this decision, but that's what we're going to do because I'm cheap. So this one follows Morgan Brooks, a police detective. There's a body of a woman found, and the DNA found on the body is to that of someone who's already in prison. So it's like, well, how can there be a DNA match on this body of someone who's already in prison? What's going on there? Then I believe there's a second DNA match, and it's to Morgan herself. So lots of things to unravel in this book. I'm a huge fan of these kinds of books. My favourite series is the Maeve Kerrigan series, and I'm kind of hoping this is like another twist on that kind of stuff. So we'll see if this is another series I can really sink my teeth into. I have high hopes for this one, and obviously if I like it I will go back and read book 1, and then maybe it's one that I can keep an eye out for the future. So I'm really excited about this one, and fingers crossed it lives up to my expectations, quite high just because of what I've read in the genre so far, so hopefully it can kind of be comparable to others of its kind. So the last book on my hefty December TBR is another one from NetGalley. This is The Other Couple by Catherine Grant. So another thriller type book. I'm obviously in the mood for thrillers right now. I'm lapping them up. So this one follows 2 couples. I think it's Maggie and Brad and Sky and Joe, I think. Maggie and Brad have gone on holiday to Lake Tahoe, I think. And then they meet this other couple, Sky and Joe, and they get on really, really well with them. And they invite them to share their sort of rented cabin, I think, on the lake. But basically this other couple isn't just some random couple they met. Apparently they've been like watching Maggie and Brad and have like a sinister agenda kind of thing. And they find out something about Maggie that could destroy her marriage, and it's like, does she have her own dark side? Can she handle them? And it says in the description that not everybody makes out of this holiday alive. So very curious how this is going to go. I quite like these kinds of deceptive secrets and lies kind of books. I love trying to figure them out, so I'm looking forward to this one. And like I say, these cozy thrillers, I really like to just kind of get into those snuggle up in my blanket that features in all of my vlogs. I have this sort of shearling fuzzy blanket, and I spend most of my waking hours, if I'm at home, I'm in this blanket. So it also is a killer for making me fall asleep and not actually read the book that's in my hand. But that blanket, I've got my Netflix fireplace kind of going on. If you don't know what that is, so you basically, if you go on Netflix, I think it's called like My Home Fireplace or something like that. I found it by watching the Peruse Project, because she puts it on when she wants to get a bit cozy and atmospheric when she reads, and I love it because I love the sound of fire and watching it kind of crackle away. So obviously we don't have a fireplace in the flat, so it's really nice. I snuggle up in my blanket, I put my Netflix fireplace on, it's a mood. I really like it, and I just feel like sitting there with a thriller, that's some cozy vibes. That's some cozy vibes. So I've got plenty of those in this TBR, including this one. So I think that's covered my 12 books. A couple of books on here that I'm kind of reading more of practical reasons, less that I have a drive to read them. But there are plenty on this TBR that I'm reading because I really can't wait to get my hands on them and want to finish them before 2020 is out. And I'll be really happy if I can finish off this year by smashing that old Goodreads goal. I want it to be one of the things I achieve this year. So fingers crossed I get to all of these. So let me know down in the comments if there are any books on this list that you've read or are planning to read soon. Let me know if there are any books that you're desperately wanting to read by the end of the year. I might end up adding it to the ones I want to read for next year. And if you've enjoyed this video, give it a wee thumbs up, that would be great. And tune in next time when I'm talking about my wrap up of these books at the end of the month. And I will see you again soon. Bye.